PHP Ugly is going live. According to Discord. Alright. Let me see where we're at. Good evening, everybody. You're listening to episode 176 of PHP Ugly, your premier podcast for
pauses.
Pauses, basically. Mumbling, poor microphone management, just general, amateur hour here. I'm one of your hosts, Eric Van Johnson, and with me is Thomas Rideout.
Hello, hello.
And John Kyden.
You can't steal my opening.
He totally stole you.
What in the world is going on? And I thought you were restarting this whole intro the way it was started out.
That was terrible. I need to put more thought into my intros, man. I've gotten lazy.
You still put a lot of thought into it.
I know. I was accused of putting too much thought into it. Now I put no thought into it, and you see where that's gotten us.
Right back to square one.
Ben Ramsey, you don't need to go to bed. You're a developer, for God's sake. Let me give him a hard time. God's sake.
Night owls, what you should be. Or you just move over to the West Coast and you don't have anything to worry about. It's only 9 o'clock here. Bedtime.
Silly man. All right, let's do some recasts, some retweeting here.
Are you doing this live?
While we're doing the show.
That's the only way to do it now. Restream handles everything for me, man. I'm
know.
not complaining.
I know, but we could have delayed the start of the show until all that was done.
It's done. It's all done. It's that simple.
Okay.
How's everybody doing? How's everybody's week? I just actually went to another one of these tech talks. I don't know why I go to these things.
It's a ringing endorsement.
They're just the
because
same.
it's all a sales pitch.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you were one-to-one today.
Oh, like the Bitcoin talks were.
Yeah, I mean, there's some value, I guess, in it, but it was just...
What was this one about?
So this is the one of our clients actually sent it to us, John, and it was...
that was tonight?
Yeah. It had some valid vendors there. One of them was about, doing like hybrid clouds. Like that's their whole service is you spin up your servers on one cloud and they make it so that like you can run it on multiple clouds, or if AWS goes down, it comes up on Microsoft's cloud and in like a matter of 10 minutes or whatever. They basically keep the different cloud solutions in sync, which is actually something one of our clients have asked for. It's always one of these things that they ask for until they start to see the price associated with it. It's like, well, we can't afford that. I'm like, well, it's like how much would it cost to duplicate our entire environment over on Microsoft's cloud? Well, I don't know. Costs are about the same, so twice as much. Well, we can't do that. Well, do you understand what the word duplicate means exactly?
And at the end of the day, I know AWS goes down, but how often is it down so long that it like completely destroys your business?
Wait, I know this answer. Twice a week.
No. I mean, there's always the argument of disaster recovery, and if it's your entire business, I don't know. I mean, it's a cost risk ratio, right?
Yeah. That's why we've been talking with a company. I don't know if we want to give them a plug or not, but talking with a company to do not DevOps, but doing the operation side of the business, and they keep pushing Terraform, and sounds like with that you basically could respin up everything into another service provider easily anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, somewhat easily, as long as you have a decent recent back of your database and can get it up and running relatively quickly.
And that's always the big thing, is keeping your databases in sync. Ideally you have, if your DR is another cloud provider, then ideally you have that cloud provider keeping that database in sync, just in general.
You have a replica over there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, if that potential vendor is listening, you're still very much on the table. We were impressed talking to you. It was nice to. Their business model really kind of aligned with ours, and it was good to see. But it's conversation time. It's still expensive, yeah. But I mean, the reality of it is, it's very much like our business model, right? It's just as expensive as if we were to hire for that position. But to get to the degree that they're at, you'd have to hire several people, and they've already gone through the painstaking part of standardizing on tool sets and processes and flows, and so we're still talking about it. If you're out there listening, we haven't kicked you to the curb yet, but yeah.
One of my pet peeves just popped up on my screen.
What's this?
You're a developer.
Me?
The wrong version of yours. Giving you a hard time.
Oh, that's me. That was mine, right? I always do that. Yeah, you're right. You're a developer, for God's sake. Yeah, that happens. This is why I shouldn't be in charge of our social media, John. We need to have somebody.
We need to hire a social media person now.
Or we just need to have a CEO that has half a heart who wants to be participate in it. I don't know. I'm just putting that out there. Ooh.
I was going to reply to him, but you replied first. I like Ben. It's fun. Anyway, what else has been going on?
Thomas, you've been off coding.
I tell you what, it's been a real slow week for PHP news.
That's fine. It doesn't have to be changing every week.
We're not a new show anyway.
Don't you have some fun stuff to talk about, Thomas? I've been spying on your conversations in our Slack channel. I know what you're working on.
Yeah. So last week I committed to developing an SSE driver for the Laravel broadcast system.
Mm-hmm.
And
SSE?
Server-side events.
It's not server-side.
Server-sent events.
Server-sent events, yeah.
I know we talked about it last week, just for people that are just tuning in.
Yes.
Yeah, you know how many of those we got.
I was not very familiar with SSE when you brought that up, Thomas, so...
As it turns out, neither was I. I probably put 7 hours into the first version of it that I was developing, just going through understanding all the methods in the contract and understanding how it communicates and what it does, and coming to the conclusion that the part that I had been working on was not the part that I need to write, because PHP can't communicate between separate threads, or doesn't easily.
Right.
And the whole functionality of this thing is one thread communicating to another long-running thread.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a job that executes and updates the long-running thread to tell the user that the job is executed.
You do that through a messaging queue anyway, not right between the threads?
Right. You do it through Redis.
Right.
And there's already a broadcast driver for Redis. So what I need to write is not a broadcast driver. I need to write a server. I need to write a server that knows how to handle channels, knows how to read from Redis, and knows how to keep an open connection to a client. And it loops reading the Redis. database.
Aren't you describing React PHP? Isn't that what React PHP does? I did a talk on this a couple of years
No.
back. Pretty sure it does. So React PHP is just a long running, non blocking, event driven I/O. I mean, that's kind of what it does.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking of React.js.
Right. That's why I had to say PHP now because of that. Yeah. I used to get those two confused all the time as well. When React.js came out, I'm like, oh yeah, I know React. Wait a minute, this isn't what I learned. Yeah, no, React PHP is an old project. I mean, it's not new by any means. When I did my talk on it, I was like, I couldn't even tell you how long ago that was. We were 5 years ago. If I had to put a number on it, but I mean, isn't that what you're explaining though? You're just explaining. You're just creating a non-blocking server in PHP.
Well, there is already a PHP SSE library out there that does the constant sending and waiting for a message to send and then sending it as soon as it finds it. My issue is the communication from the job system into the long-running process. And I got to the point where I just hadn't thought it through well enough and realized that there has to be an intermediary data store somewhere. That no matter what I do, there has to be either a data store or an open port listening for messages, thus turning the server into the data store. So at some point along the line, I have to have a data store no matter what I do.
Right.
And I know how to do it in Redis, and I've got a good portion of it completed. But then comes the other rub, which is every time I tried to load it into an existing application, I got a class not found error.
Oh yeah. So this is what I saw you post in Slack. Yeah.
And I can tell you, I spent 4 hours on that. I spent 4 hours reading composer documentation, testing different namespaces, testing PSR or class map, testing just every iteration I could to get it. And the super frustrating part is that PHP Storm had no problem resolving the classes. It had no problem auto-completing the methods and populating the whole thing correctly. But when I went to run the application, it just didn't work.
Was it a version issue or?
I don't know. I'm still in that state.
It's still not working.
I got 4 hours into it, and I'm still in that state.
So
and I am very frustrated.
Can you explain to me then? I can appreciate this frustration. I don't have a good answer for you, unfortunately. But I'm still struggling with understanding what the difference is between the SSE that you're working on and just like normal messaging queues, like or something like Pusher, where a service like Pusher, where you just queue up messages and I mean,
it's the same as Pusher, except that Pusher is a two-way system. Channels are bidirectional. The issue is that we have to pay for Pusher, and if I can write this as a PHP application and host it on our own site, we don't have to pay the additional overhead for it.
Well, didn't Freck wrote a replacement for Pusher, I believe.
So there's ably.io, which Ryan CCO recommended, and that has an SSE style driver, broadcast driver. But my whole idea is to get away from using third party on this and just have a library that can read out of Redis, give it a channel name, authenticate with Laravel, and send the message.
So I remember this going on, and I hate to think that you wasted time or anything on it, but Freck and what's his buddy's name, Mario, from Beyond Code, they have this Laravel WebSockets out there. Have you looked at that? It is.
I haven't.
It actually uses the pusher drivers because they wrote it to mimic pusher, but it's a self-hosted, basically a self-hosted pusher. It's essentially what you're looking for. It's a self-hosted pusher.
Does the class resolve correctly? Because that's the thing that's driving me insane. I mean,
Yeah. So this is all. This just uses all the pusher. As far as we're talking about a Laravel application, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So as far as the Laravel application, the drivers are all pusher drivers. There's no difference there. It's just you're just running it locally as opposed to using the service.
Yeah, and it runs as a. So this is one of the things I'm trying to avoid is that this runs as an artisan command that's just a long-running console command.
Okay.
And one of my goals was to just have this be a hittable route, an endpoint that you could just hit straight off the web server.
Yeah, I haven't used this package, so I'm not super familiar with all the details around it. So
Still feel like you're going to end up with constraints based if you're just using a web server for this. You're not gonna be able to handle much concurrent traffic.
We're not
Right.
dealing with a lot of concurrent traffic for this feature. We're dealing with like 1 or 2 people.
Oh, okay.
And just use Firebase, and don't they have a free tier?
Yeah, really.
The point of my story, very frustrated with this whole thing.
I really want to just pause broadcasting right now and pair a program with you because I want to solve this.
No,
I didn't know
it's
what's still going
mind-numbing.
on.
It's totally mind-numbing.
I don't think we need to pause broadcasting. We can pair program live.
No,
Do it live.
No.
Well, because your particular content.
No, just because I don't want to look at it right now. It's already been a long day.
So in an hour when we hang up, you don't want to look at it?
No, I'm not.
Just send me the code base. I want to check it out.
Yeah, it's on GitHub. I'll send it to anyone who dares to look at it.
Is it open on GitHub?
Yeah, so the latest version is t-writeout/laravel-broadcast-sse. So if you care to tell me why it's not resolving, I would love that. I would love that so much.
I have
And
money on the fact that John will figure it out by the end of the show.
There's a way to do, for local development on stuff like this, there's a way to do a vendor symlink instead of a vendor fetch from a repository. So I recommend doing that because that speeds things up quite a bit.
I just saw that trick. Again, Beyond Code has a developing package course.
That's the one I was reading.
Yeah. I just started that one as well. Yeah.
I think if I'd paid more attention, I'd realize that the Laravel WebSockets is also written by Beyond Code.
So I'm confused. What does this do? What are you talking about?
There's just a class called SSE Server, and if you try to call it, it doesn't call.
No, what were you talking about before with the symlink?
So if you go into your composer, composer.json, you can add a line. Oh, I'm on the wrong branch here. I can't read it. You can add a repositories that is type path, and then the full path to whatever the project is. And when you do a composer require, it will pull that path instead of the Git repo and symlink it in your vendor directory so that it updates immediately. And that's very useful for, like I'm doing, developing a library specifically for a framework. Although, it isn't working, so try whatever you want.
Yeah, I want to check out the WebSocket, the Laravel WebSockets. I might It might not be everything you need, but it might be enough of what you need. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
So I mean, I probably put in 15 hours total in the thing
Mm.
this week, and I've really enjoyed doing it. It's fun to be learning this stuff, but sometimes, man, you just hit that brick wall, and I don't know where to go from here. I can't even get it to run, and that's just frustrating. And
I know,
because
so
of there's stuff with Laravel like caching of the IDE helper and the composer dump auto load and all that stuff, and I don't know what reads from what. If you go into your project, you have to define a PSR4 namespace, and
no,
that namespace has to fit a certain format that's not really clear because it's got double slashes in it, and some stuff is implied and some stuff isn't. It's just very all over the place.
I was just informed that oh, look at this. I have I know you guys can't see it, but I have our messages kind of scrolling now on the site. I don't know. Did you know that? Thanks. I have to fix that. That's not looking fantastic. But so Daryl just messaged me when I switch screens, which you guys don't see me doing, but I'll switch over to the browser, and the people who are watching the stream see it. Apparently, we're getting a bunch of echoing when that happens, so I need to check
Excellent.
that out. I'll need to check that out and figure out why that's happening. But
Yeah, and Shutter on YouTube says the directory for that should just be src.
source,
I've-
right?
Yeah, I've tried that.
Before. Yeah.
I've tried that. I've tried making sure that the namespace has a full length root on it, or not a full length root, or I mean just back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, it should be just T write out too, not T write out broadcaster.
Well, no, because T-Rideout is the root. Broadcaster is the namespace for that project. So it should be T-Rideout Broadcaster.
Well, then it would be source broadcaster.
Right, which it was, and that didn't work either.
So T write out broadcaster or T write out.
It's
T write
been
out
it's been
broadcaster.
10 things
Yeah.
at this point. And it's a non-essential thing for my company, and I got moved on to essential stuff. So it just the last 2 days it just hasn't been on the track at all.
Yeah, I get that.
There's that.
So I can appreciate your disappointment. I had to tell one of our new developers that we have working. He was the one. He wasn't very familiar with Laravel, so one of the first tasks I had him do was put together what I wanted to start using as our scaffolding for projects. So that we didn't, because we're finding, like, as everybody does, there's certain things you're doing at the beginning of every project that takes up time. So I had him put together some scaffolding for so when we wanted to spin up products that we wanted to build, there were certain things in place, and he did a good job. And I'd gone and reviewed it with him and stuff, and I was talking to my buddy Matt Lance about it, and Matt's like, "Oh shit, man, just take mine," because I was telling him like everything I needed in it, and I'm like, "Oh, you have a scaffolding?" He's like, "Yeah, it's open source. Just go to my directory," and he pretty much had everything I needed. So I downloaded it and I checked it out. I'm like, damn, this is good work, man. So to make myself feel better, I had the developer do a code review on it. He goes, "Wow, this is really nice." I'm like, "So you wouldn't feel bad if I told you to start using it, right?" He's like, "I just feel bad because you paid me to do the other one." I'm like, "Well, shit, don't feel bad about that. That's on us, not you." So and it was good. It was good learning for him, anyways. I mean, he really he has started to embrace Laravel quicker than I think anybody else I've ever seen. I mean, He's only been working in it for a couple weeks, and
Really
he's
took to those satanic verses.
he's pretty fluent in it. I can have conversations with him that are very Laravel specific conversations, and he has no issues at all with it. So I'm happy. I'm a happy guy.
I I had a similar interesting situation where uh, I was doing some tutoring of my mentee, uh, and he's working mainly JavaScript, which I haven't touched in a decade.
Okay.
So he came in asking for help, and I said, "Sure, I'll help you. I've been doing this for 20 years." And I got to the program and went, "Wow, I don't remember anything about JavaScript." So we ended up watching some tutorial videos together. And one of the videos I watched, the guy had autofill in PHP Storm after, I would say, every 3 characters he typed. He would type 3 characters and then hit tab or something, and it would autofill 2 lines of code.
Yeah.
And then he'd go to the next, and within like 4 minutes, he had hundreds of lines of code.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't even think that fast. Even if I had all of those muscle memory down, I couldn't even begin to work that quickly.
I honestly I don't even use the ones that I know of, like like public function. There used to I don't know if it was in Storm or where it was, but it used to be like PUBF, and that would be a public function, and it would just I don't even use those. I'm horrible at that. I need to. What are they called in Storm? They're not templates? Are they snippets? What are they called?
Yeah, code snippets.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
Yeah, I really should. I really should go in there and set a bunch of them up. I'm terrible at that, but I always forget about. I always forget them. Like when I'm coding, I'm like, oh yeah, what did I set up as that snippet? And I end up spending more time looking for it than I do typing it out.
You know what I need more than anything else in PHP Storm is autocomplete or error detection for named routes. Because
I don't know how that would work.
I write named routes exclusively.
And
And
it's a good practice.
and I'll add 10 of them at a time. Like I'll create a whole new CRUD system that's going to need at least 10 routes. And I don't remember if I pluralized it. I don't remember if it's in this domain or
Yeah, I just don't. I don't know how Storm would handle that, because that's very niche, right? I mean that's specific to, well, I mean, for the routing system that Laravel uses, it's specific to Laravel.
Yeah, but that should be pretty easy to parse.
There's also Laravel plugins, so maybe one of the plugins does something similar.
I've looked in the past and haven't seen it.
Build one.
Where it would have to look in all, it would have to be look in all your routes. It would just be a regex check, right? As you're typing in a named route, it would look in all your routes folder for all the named routes and populate it. Seems like that would be something that could be built.
Yeah, it seems like it should be.
Yeah.
So you're committing on this episode to writing that, Thomas? You heard it here?
100% no.
Yeah. I applaud you. I don't know what it would take to write a PHP Storm plugin, Thomas, but leave it to you to step up and do it.
Volunteer to have it done next
not
week.
doing that.
How's that Roku channel coming along, by the way? We've been.
It's stupid.
You
Do you know how Roku channels work?
I do now, because I built one for us. Thank you very much.
They're XML feeds.
Well, actually, there
awful.
are services now. There are services now. You don't have to write anything. You literally go to a service and say, here's my podcast feed, here's all this other information, and it creates it for you.
So there's a PHP channel?
No, I didn't publish it. There was a hiccup. I ran into a hiccup. I got to go back through and see what the problem is. I almost got it published. Like, the biggest thing is all the artwork, because it's very specific about sizes and ratios and resolution of all the artwork. So I was spending a lot of time, trying to figure out what I wanted to do for all the artwork. Um, but I ran into some issue, and I can't even remember what the service is. It was one of those things where I thought I was going to have it done in like an hour, and then an hour, 10 minutes later, I'm like, well, forget this. This is taking 10 minutes longer than I thought it was going to take. So, but I need to get back into it because it actually looked pretty simple, and it's like yeah, it would be a cool thing to have out there. I my whole life I live off Roku now. I just all my TVs have Roku's hooked up to them, and I consume my television through services in Roku. I mean, it's not like
Yeah.
that's the only place you live, but Roku's just the easiest device to have them all.
Yeah. We just made that switch too. I went yesterday, canceled my cable,
Hmm.
so we're there.
So you're sticking with YouTube?
The YouTube TV, yeah.
Mm.
I
Okay.
just and because it's mostly because of the guide. I hated Hulu's interface to the guide,
Hmm.
and with YouTube TV, my wife and I can have our own profiles. You can go in and turn channels on and off that show up in the guide, and you can order them in the order you want. So it was a no-brainer for me. Just
I might need
for
to
that.
check that out again. I mean,
I
the profile thing is there for Hulu as well, so which is actually one of the bigger niceties I've had, because even when we had the cable box, there were so many recordings that were my wife's recordings, and I'm sitting there and I need like, can I delete this? I don't know if I can delete this. And next thing you know, we have 5 seasons of Friends. I'm like, do we need all these shows, or can some of them be deleted? Now with separate profiles, it definitely makes it nicer. But
That's the other nice thing about YouTube TV is the unlimited, quote unquote, unlimited DVR versus Hulu limiting it unless you pay extra for, you know, 200 gigs versus 50 gigs.
yeah, the issue with there though is Hulu's service in general is a DVR service, right? I mean that's what it is. So it's like I find my need to actually record certain shows, like CBS shows, I have to record because CBS isn't on Hulu. But besides that, everything's on Hulu. I think it takes a little longer to come out. So like if I record something, obviously I can like watch it right away. But if I don't record it, it's typically out like the next day or the following day on the Hulu
Uh,
service.
oh, that makes sense. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just it just hasn't been a problem for me yet. But I understand what you're saying. The whole recording thing just hasn't been an issue for me. But it's funny because YouTube TV, that's probably their biggest advertiser on Hulu TV. Like every time I'm watching a show on Hulu, YouTube TV is the commercial that runs.
I keep getting that on Facebook and
YouTube
Triple
TV?
Byte. Yeah, YouTube TV ads and Triple Byte ads.
Triple Bite. What's a Triple Bite?
It's like this mass recruiting company. They just want every every coder of any kind to sign up through them and get jobs. And they advertise heavily on Facebook with really, really cringy ads, and they're a minefield
Doesn't
of
Facebook
comment
have
section.
doesn't Facebook have like a TV service now as well? Like, I mean, not like a paid one like Hulu, but I thought like the Dirty Job guys had a show on Facebook now, Payback or something. Or
Mike Rowe.
yeah, Mike Rowe. I thought there were like some people that had shows on Hulu. I mean, God damn it, shows on Facebook now.
I
Is
have
that
no idea.
that's not a thing? I don't know.
I hate
I don't know.
Facebook.
Yeah. John, you're on Facebook. Doesn't Facebook have like some sort of TV station now?
I'm on Facebook. I don't do much on Facebook. I don't pay attention to it.
We're horrible. We're horrible at our jobs. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know where to look for it, to be honest with you. Oh, they're right there. Watch. There's a button here to say watch. No, these are just videos. These aren't shows. I don't know. I don't even know where to find it. I just thought I had seen. I know I saw Mike Rowe has a show. Yeah, I thought a couple of other people did, but I don't know. I couldn't even tell you how to get to it. or if it's even really a thing. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
Yeah. Hey, Thomas, you going to PHP Tech?
Tech,
I don't know.
come on, Memphis.
All the cool kids are going. And by cool kids, I'm talking about Eric and I.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I need to talk to my boss man about it and see what
Oh, I'm
our
sure he'd be more than
see
happy
what our
to send
budget
you.
allows.
How
Eric
far
and I are
is
going to be there.
Where's it at? Is it no, not Memphis?
Nashville.
Yeah,
Nashville.
Nashville.
How far is Nashville from you, Thomas? You can drive there, can't you?
No.
What? Nashville's on the other side of the country.
No, it's not. He's in
Yeah,
Colorado.
it is. It's slightly closer than Washington.
What? Slightly closer.
Yeah, do you not know
Alright.
where Colorado is?
I know
You
where
don't know
Colorado
where
is. I know where Nashville is. It's not that far. Let me see. Alright, yeah, you're right. It's a little further than I thought. I forgot about the whole Kansas City, Oklahoma area there. Yeah. Yeah, that is in a whole other state, huh? Kansas, Missouri. And then you have to go down. Yeah, alright.
Yeah,
alright.
it's the top of the chef's butt.
Top of the chef's butt. I don't even know what that means.
Don't you know how to identify all the Midwest states by the chef holding a plate of food?
What are you talking about? No, I do not know that at all.
Oh, I see that now that you say it.
I don't see it.
Iowa is the nose.
Yeah.
Tell me,
Anyways,
What's the food? What's the plate of food?
have no
Tennessee.
clue.
Oh, Tennessee. I'm sorry. Tennessee is the plate of food. Is the food on the plate?
Tennessee is the food. Are you sure not Kentucky? It looks like Kentucky.
Oh no,
would
I'm
be
sorry.
food.
Kentucky is the food on the plate. Tennessee is.
Oh, all right. I see it now. I'm starting to. It's starting to come together. He's wearing boots like Louisiana is.
Yeah, little Louisiana boots.
Oh, all right. Oh, and okay, I get it. Minnesota's the chef hat. I get it. Oh yeah. Yeah. I get it now. All right.
I think you just made, and now we're conjuring it like constellations. Like, oh yeah, I see it. Thomas is like, I just made this up, and you guys are crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys are on. You know what other website I hate besides Facebook?
Reddit?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Oh, there's another one I haven't gone to in forever.
Aren't they dead? Isn't that, like,
What's the
go under?
what's the hate about LinkedIn? Why are you even on LinkedIn? Why?
Well, it
How did
was.
we move on from PHP Tech? We were still talking about that.
Yeah, why aren't you going to tech? It's only a
I'm working on
16-hour
it.
drive.
I'm working on it. That's it. I'm working on it.
Okay.
And so I was just pointing out, Eric and I are flying in. We'll be there Monday and leaving bright and early Saturday morning. Come hang out with us.
I'm
Bright
working
and
on it.
early Saturday morning. Like
Okay, well, I'm not
really,
working on that.
really early.
I'm not doing that. I got the first ever hit up from a recruiter that I actually was impressed by.
Okay.
I had a recruiter that said, "I understand from looking at your experience that you've been at X company for a long time and you don't appear to be looking for other positions. However, I just wanted to let you know that we have a position in your area. It's also remote if you're interested, and it is a principal engineer / senior solutions architect.
There's a big title for you.
And it would be working directly under the CTO and founder. And just asked for my feedback. Just asked me, hey, what do you think? You know, I know you're not looking. What do you think? It was a well-researched, complimentary message, which I am so not used to. I'm used to the blast mails.
Mm-hmm.
And this one was like, not.
That's how PhoneBurner got me back in 2012.
Oh, really?
It was reaching out. I thought it was a recruiter. I ignored the first message. They sent a second message, and I'm like, "Oh wait, you actually read and like know about
you
me
know who I am."
specifically." Yeah. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll talk to you.
Did they
So-
ever happen to mention how you ended up on their radar?
For me, it
Mm-hmm.
was I was using a brand new service, that Careers 2.0 on Stack Overflow. Was that? I
Mm-hmm.
think it was through them. So I just happened to put my resume up there, and they were searching through. But it was the fact that they contacted me through two different avenues. Back then it was Google Plus. They started there, and when I
Google
didn't
Plus.
reply, then they contacted me through another service. I can't remember which one now, but it was because they went through two different services and knew me specifically. So, Thomas, are you considering talking to them, or not? Should we not talk about that on the air?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely talking to him. I don't think that that's something you don't talk about. I think, there's always these stigmas about how much money do you make? Don't talk about it. What's your interest in your current position? Don't talk about it. Like everything has to be done in a covert op. I'm going to give this guy my resume as a dead drop somewhere in a park. and I am not immune to that. I am totally I had my daughter ask me how much money I made she just wanted to understand how our income worked. And I was like, I'm not telling you. That's private. And then I'm like, wait a second. No, it's not. It's actually a matter of public record.
It's sort of private, though. I mean,
It's not public record. What are you talking about?
Where would it be public record at?
Taxes.
It's not public record.
Well, you guys don't know it, but I'm actually a corporation.
Thomas has been telling everybody how much he makes because he thought that was what you did. I can totally see why you wouldn't tell people how much you make.
I could see why I wouldn't tell random people or strangers, but coworkers and people within the industry who you're having an open dialogue with, that should be an open conversation. It's the fact that our positions, if you go to all the salary rankings on things, they're always ranked, 50% higher than anyone is actually getting paid.
Mm.
It's part of this.
That was always a thing in the enterprise, right? When I worked in the big enterprise for a big enterprise company, and somebody was leaving, you weren't allowed to know where they were going. It was like this big mystery. They couldn't tell anybody till they left. It's like, what fucking difference does it make? They quit. It's like they're already leaving. Nothing's changing here. But it was always this big thing. No, can't tell you. It's big secret. It's like, please, it's so stupid. I never understood that. It's like if somebody quit or somebody not not disclosing where they were going, like it changed something or I never understood that.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, if somebody is talking to me about the title senior solutions architect or principal engineer, I don't mind my boss or my company knowing that that's something I'm being offered by other people.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't they're not going to demote me because I'm getting that from other people.
Right.
You bring up good points.
So let me ask both you guys this then. I mean, would you want a position where you're no longer a developer?
No, absolutely not.
No. John's in an awkward position because he could actually be in that position if he wanted to.
Does he want to?
No, I enjoy development.
Yeah, me too. I mean, that's the whole reason we started the company, is we enjoy development. But, yeah, I think that's weird. I mean, again, going back to enterprise, you were never meant to be a developer for a long time. You were expected to promote to some sort of manager position.
Right, but in the PHP community, I don't look up to the great managers. I look up to
Right.
the developers.
Yeah, me too.
I don't look at what Freak Vanderhurten manages really, really well. I look at his code and go, damn, he's good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. True.
I don't know why. I happen to be on my calendar out in May, just looking. I was looking at our trip, and I have an event on my calendar that makes no sense.
Is it
The event
spam?
says, well, the event title says from PHP Ugly number 153. Oh, that's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind. I
Wait a
forgot.
minute.
I put this on my calendar from one of our episodes a long time ago.
Oh,
I think-
no.
Oh, this is episode 153. What the hell is that? Episode 153.
Well, now I'm going to have to listen to it.
My assumption, I didn't put any notes in here. I think you predicted that Google was going to buy JetBrains.
Ah, yes.
I put it on my calendar to check on it in May. I'm like, why is this on my calendar at 7 a.m. on May 21st?
I'm glad that there's still a little spite in you despite dropping meat. You haven't completely lost that edge.
That would have been a year. Yeah, man, you are. Yeah, that's impressive. That is impressive.
Suck on that, Tom.
So I got 4 months. I gotta start. I gotta get the rumors out there.
Yeah, build the buzz.
Google's buying JetBrain. Hey Google, don't you need JetBrain?
Speaking of JetBrains, I heard some interesting information that I didn't know already. Did you know they employ Nikita to work on PHP full time, and I think they just hired Derek Reethans to work on Xdebug?
No, I didn't know that.
I hadn't
Oh.
heard that. I knew that Nikita Popov was working for them, but I hadn't heard about.
I should have researched that before bringing that up. Somebody said it in Slack today.
That would have been a nice. That would have been a nice link to have for the show notes for sure.
Why? Hey,
It doesn't matter. They're both going to become Google employees by in a couple months. That's like I wonder. What has become of Adam? Is Adam still out there? Adam is still out there. So I didn't think Adam would still be around. It's interesting. Because you figure Adam in VS Code are basically overlap technologies for GitHub now. I mean, why have them both? And why don't they purchase JetBrains? I need to push that narrative. I really need to push that narrative a lot. But yeah, Adam is still out there. I assume they're still developing it, but I really don't know why, with VS Code being so prominent and both coming out of the same company now. Interesting.
I was impressed to find that my mentee was using VS Code.
I mean, everybody's using VS Code now. Everybody. I actually tried to switch back. I told John this. I switched back there for a little while, and the Vim plugin. You know, I probably need to wipe my VS Code plugins and start over because I'm horrible with plugins. I've always been.
It sounds about like Microsoft.
Yeah, I throw so many plugins against the thing, but when I was trying to use VS Code, my Vim plugin was just slow, like just so doggone slow. So I actually stopped and went back to Storm. But my VS Code is probably due an overhaul. Like I should just wipe everything out and start over again. I'm sure they're
Or just stick with JetBrains because they're supporting the community. Just saying.
They are supporting the community, for sure.
And
That was their big thing this week.
Yeah, I went and read. They didn't hire Derek. They're supporting him. So I'm assuming they are patrons on Patreon.
Oh, so well, then we're supporting him as well.
We are.
We're Patreons.
Oh, we are patrons.
Patrons.
When I thought he was hired, I was like, oh, does that mean we could stop our Patreon account now? And
Speaking of
no.
Patreons,
we would like to thank our Patreons, although I can't log in.
Patrons.
you can't log in.
Not at home.
I believe their email system is broken. They can't send mail out from Patreon.com. So he's trying to log in. He's trying to log in, but because he hasn't logged in on that computer or from that IP address, it's trying to send him an email. He can't get it. I can log in. I've been trying to change the email address on our account, and they say, "Hey, we're emailing you at the new address to confirm," and never get the email.
Oh, you didn't tell me that little piece. Well, that's
interesting. I did. You just didn't pay attention to me. You never listened to me.
No, you said, quote, it's not allowing me to change the email address. I just thought when you said that, it meant that you didn't have the option to change it.
You never listen to me or read what I write. That's all I'm saying.
I feel you go scroll through Slack right now to find the message.
Well, their site right now looks completely broken.
Patreon?
Yeah, I'm having trouble even looking at it.
Yeah. But we do appreciate people contributing to us. They're still contributing to us. It's
absolutely. Nice. I've used a small portion of the Patreon money to get some computer components for my workstation, my new home theater workstation, and I will be updating people on that one because it is sick as hell. How
does that benefit our listeners?
They get to see my cool stuff.
God damn it, John! What did John's gonna? I believe. Yeah. No, I saw that. I saw you said that. I just assumed you were making that. So John sent me the message. He said, "I just believe the Patreon's outbound mail is broken." I'm like, oh, okay. I found that. I didn't realize you weren't getting mail as well. That's right.
Yeah. Gotcha. Because I said I changed it, but I never got the message. Anyway. So
yes.
So we know we have listeners that work at Patreon.com. If you guys could fix your system, that'd be awesome. Let us just let us know when it's done, and we'll make the announcement on air.
Yeah. So what did you get? What did you get, Thomas? I don't understand.
Well, there's a lot of let's say power hungry games coming out soon. You've got Doom Eternal, you've got Cyberpunk, stuff like that, and my existing gaming station is quite old. The video card that I upgraded basically said to me, "Hey, I'm dying here. Your CPU won't even talk to me in time." So, coincided a little bit of the Patreon money and my birthday, which was yesterday.
Happy birthday.
Yes. And
are you just questioning your own birthday? I was born around this time at some point.
Yesterday was such a non-event besides just having a nice dinner with my kids.
So here's the deal.
Wait, well, let me tell the story first, and then you can. I saw on Facebook that it was your birthday, and I saw people saying happy birthday in Slack, and I wrote to Eric, I'm like, I don't want to say happy birthday because I know Thomas is so anti-Facebook. He put the wrong birthday in Facebook. He's got all these people saying happy birthday, and it's not his birthday.
No. I wouldn't do that to my friends. That's a cruel joke to play. Although my daughter did it, and so I wished her happy birthday the wrong day all day on purpose.
That's your daughter. That's a problem, man.
My father-in-law did it. He changed his, and it's so funny. Every year it comes around, and people start saying happy birthday, and he's just paranoid and won't put his real birth date out there.
So Thomas, here's the deal. Here's the deal now. Since you used Patreon money for this gaming system, now you have to invite all the Patreons. You have to do a blog post and invite them to game with you.
That's already a standing invitation. I will do it again.
Do it again, man.
In the blog post when I break down the full details of the system that I'm building. Which
now keep in mind, they didn't
Monday,
buy your
Tuesday.
system. They bought a component.
No.
Right.
But
I don't want the Patreons to think that they bought you a whole gaming system. They bought you a processor.
No. But it's going to be a very nice little home theater system. I'm very proud of how it's coming together. One of the most fun things to do when building a PC is just the research and just the browsing. You know, I have the place I want the PC to sit in my home theater, so I have very strict dimension limits. Mm-hmm. And just going through every case and looking at the dimensions, looking at the components, is everything going to fit? Because the video card that I have is 11 and a half inches long. It's unbelievably large.
Oh, how do you have a case that fits in?
Not all cases can fit that. In fact, the case that I'm currently using, I had to remove a drive bay to get it to fit. So, but
well,
it is really fun shopping and just brainstorming stuff.
John's finally gave me an excuse to buy a Pi 4. Which I did.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, and the more I thought about it, I'm like, okay, this is a good enough excuse to do this. But he'd come across. I mean, John, do you want to explain it or?
No, because I've already forgotten. I remember seeing the video, and I don't even know what it was for.
Was it a video? I don't think it was a video. Maybe it was a video.
It was a video.
Oh yeah. So John had come across a video basically where this person had taken a Pi 4.
Oh, the iPad Pro. That's right.
And the iPad Pro, and basically turned it into a development environment where he would SSH to the Pi 4. And my whole thing to John is like, well, I kind of do that now, except I SSH to a server. And for a little while, I was even taking advantage of remote desktops on AWS. So I could actually spin up a Windows or Linux desktop on my iPad. But to the point of the article, and what John was saying is, well, this removes the whole need for network connectivity. So you can actually load stuff up onto the Pi, and I could put all my repos in a Pi and start working. And I can actually have, I mean, again, you can do this in a remote server. There's nothing you can't do in a Pi that you can't do in a remote server. Let's be clear about that. But having it all local, was kind of the game changer. I'm like, okay, I can see the benefits to that. So I've started that. I ordered a Pi. Of course, you can't order a Pi 4 from any of the U.S. stores. You had to order it from a European store.
Yeah, it's limited stock.
Very limited. I didn't even realize Pi 4s were a thing when John had mentioned it. I'm like, I don't think Pi 4 is out yet. Because I'm always on that Adafruit. What's that thing called? Adafruit, yep. Right? I'm always on there. I love their stuff. And I'm getting more. And they're kind of pushing me more to try the Arduino. Yeah, the one that's like specific for processes and not like a full-fledged computer.
Yeah, it's just a microcontroller. It doesn't have support for any kind of OS or anything.
So I've been looking at a lot of their blog posts and stuff, and little things I want to try. But yeah, I hadn't seen the Pi 4 on their site in forever. So when he mentioned it and I saw the video, I'm like, God, it's got to be out there somewhere. And of course, there was some.
Well, the thing about the Pi 4, so the Pi 3 used a shared chip for its USB and Ethernet.
Mm-hmm.
So traffic on your Ethernet took away from your USB performance.
That's what they're saying.
And it was only, I think, 100 megabit. It wasn't gigabit Ethernet.
Well, I think it was gigabit, but it never ran at a gigabit. It only ran at like 300 megs.
I think actually no. I think worse than that. I think it was 100 megabit and never ran at 100 megabit.
That might be
I
right.
think it capped at like 80.
Yeah.
The Pi 4 resolves all that issues, supports 4K decoding of video, and it has 2 separate chips for the USB 3.0 and for the gigabit Ethernet. One thing, though, is that it does want to be actively cooled. So when you're looking at the parts you're buying online, if you don't get it with a case that has a fan, then you're going to have some kind of fan solution for it.
Yeah.
And
my big question is, so the setup was a USB cable. So the Pi 4 has USB-C. They had a USB-C cable that went right into the iPad. The iPad was actually powering the Pi 4. I'm like, man, I wonder how, like, that battery life can't be that good. So we'll see how well that works out.
Yeah, when I got my Pi 4, I had trouble powering it from a normal USB hub. It really wanted to have the wall wart.
Yeah. So I'll let you know. I'll let you know when it comes in. All right. And I didn't have Patreons buy that for me, just FYI. Like some people. Right.
Who's your guys' pick for the Super Bowl?
The home team.
Simpsons.
I'll go with the 49ers. I'll stick with I'll stick with California team. Why not? So 49ers. How about you?
I am rooting for the not Patriots.
They're not in the Super Bowl. You've
Exactly.
already won. You've already won.
I am the big winner in this one.
Okay, so you can't ask the question if you don't have an opinion. Then stop it.
That's what this show is based on. Opinions about things I'm not well educated enough about. For example, server-sent events, which I said the wrong name when we started the episode.
Server-side events or whatever. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it. I think that's a good spot to wrap it up. I enjoyed this show. No reason to push it much further. Thanks again for everybody who contributes to our Patreon. We do appreciate it. Seriously, we do appreciate it. And we will use it for some show intros at some point. I've been saying that I think that's what started this whole thing. I said I was going to get some show intros professionally done and have yet to do that. But I promise I will do that. But this has been episode 176 of PHP Ugly. We do appreciate everybody listening. I'm your host, Eric Van Johnson. Thank you.
I'm John Congdon.
And I'm Tom Rideout. Hey. Keep it
ugly. So I didn't tell you.
Hold on, I'm going to stop my recording. And for all the people who are listening right now or still streaming, I posted the chef picture in the Discord. I don't know if it gets...
Okay, that doesn't look so much as a chef picture. Now that you posted that, I'm like, it looks like a guy holding his junk.
There's one of those too, yeah.
Okay. All right, as long as it's not just me. Let me stop recording. So I had to get through one of the hardest edits I've ever had to make on the podcast. It wasn't this one. It was the PHP Architect one.
I know it wasn't this one. I edited this one.
I know.
And I got it out on Tuesday.
Which, hey, my mic was horrible, though. Jesus. But it's like
10 minutes.
Horrible on all the podcasts. I don't know why. I don't know why it's always my mic, too. I don't do anything to it. I buy the most common mic out there, and it just doesn't work.
How was this drift on this one? Because that's always been an issue when I've tried.
No drift. It was fantastic. Didn't have to do a single cut. And I trimmed out like 10 minutes of us debugging stuff. But didn't have a single bit of drift after an hour and 20.
Yeah. So the PHP Architect podcast, man, we had like everything that could go wrong with that podcast. I had Oscar's machine crashed halfway through it, and then he couldn't he couldn't get Zencaster going again. So fortunately, I had a backup recording going of all the Google stuff, and it was a weird one to edit, man. I was hating life. So you got this one though, Thomas?
Yeah, I think I do.
That's awesome. I'll take the weekend off then.
Thomas, start sharing your screen. I want to fix that broadcast.
Oh shit, that's what I didn't remember to put. Oh shit.
Yeah, John's already got his stuff up. He is so efficient. I'm doing the same.
So I had to fix my mom's computer, and I'm gonna say this now, but I'm gonna have to say it next week too.
So
I had to fix.
Everybody knows I'm still streaming.
I had to fix my mom's computer, and I was trying to figure out a good solution for doing remote desktop sharing with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a really, really good free one, remotedesktop.google.com.
.google.com?
.google.com.
No,
It's a Google how to get support from someone you know site. It's dedicated just to basically this exact situation. My mom needed support, and I had to support her remotely. That's the whole purpose for the site. It has 2 buttons total on the site. It just says, hey, install the software and hit run. And then when that's done, we're going to pop up a code and you give it to your son. That was it.
So this isn't the one that requires you to run Chrome? Nope. It's not. It looks like I can run it in Firefox.
Yep. And my parents are running Ubuntu, and it just popped up with the deb and downloaded it and popped up the Ubuntu software installer and asked you to install it, and that was it. It was amazing.
This is a good one. I have to keep this one in mind.
Yeah, so that'll be on the podcast next week because I definitely have to talk about that experience of of updating an Ubuntu system that I hadn't touched in 3 years.
You're gonna pull up your share screen share?
No. It's all there is what I said is that when I try to call the package from inside an existing project, it just says class not found, even though PHP Storm resolved it perfectly.
10 minutes. Let me look.
You want me to stop broadcasting? I'll stop streaming.
It's not on this machine. It's on a.
So I need to pull this package into one of my projects. That's what I'm missing, huh?
Yeah. Just do a composer required twriteout laravel-broadcast.sse, and it'll pull it in and try to use it. And if it works for you, I swear to God, I'm just gonna flush all of my directories and start Git from scratch.
So I tried that.
I believe the version I pushed is running twriteout SSE broadcaster into Laravel broadcast SSE /source broadcaster.
What?
Oh,
does that have to be a Laravel project?
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna fuck me.
It's just Laravel new
references.
Laravel new Laravel, man. Don't act like you don't have Laravel installed in your system. I know you do.
Hold on, let me revert this one part because I was trying to do something else too.
What the hell is this? Interesting. So apparently, okay. Well, apparently we're on Streamlabs now. That's on me. I was trying to get some widgets working on this eCam stuff, and apparently I've created a whole monster on
One sec.
Yeah, go ahead. Test follower. What happened? Nothing happened. I need this up front. Test subscriber. Yeah, so I'm not getting alerts now. I don't know what to do. We need to come up with a project that we can live stream, John. All the cool kids are doing it now. The pair programming where they live stream.
Yeah.
All the cool kids are doing it.
Did you stop 5?
I can. You want to say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah, I mean, we're not really doing anything.
No.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Give Thomas a second to say bye to everybody. Say bye, everybody, Thomas.
Bye.
Say bye to everybody.
Bye, everybody.